Will you just like point and scroll when it's that time?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. The Go of Filmmaking, a closer look at the magic of Roger Deakins. For decades, one man has been regarded as the best cinematographer of all time. Roger Deakins has had a long and fruitful career, responsible for some of the most visually iconic films of the modern contemporary film era. Today I'm going to be discussing 3 aspects of Roger Deakins' brilliance: his decade-long career, his relentless innovation, and the professionalism that he brings on set, which is something that I'd like to emulate in my own career. First, I'm going to start with the early days, and how Roger Deakins became one of the most sought-after cinematographers in the modern film industry. He's been commended for his ability to jump from genre to genre, which has made him responsible for the creation of some of the most renowned films in the past 5 decades, including 1917, The Big Lebowski, and The Shawshank Redemption. Take a second to think about if you've heard his name in any of the films that you've seen. The American Society of Cinematography states that his mantelpiece is crowded with cinematography honors. His name is familiar to even non-industry movie lovers, and he's been crowned by the Queen Elizabeth II. If you watch movies, you probably witness his work. Roger Deakins is constantly creating new projects. He began his career as a documentarian and photographer, which has contributed to his effectiveness to tell stories through film. His first movie, or documentary, was Sailing Around the World with Ridgway in 1978. This documentary experience taught him how to think on his feet and to adapt to unfamiliar experiences. In 1984, he worked on his first feature film, 1984, which was an adaptation of George Orwell's novel, 1984. Since then, he's gone on to work with some of the most iconic directors of this era, including the Coen brothers and Frank Darabont. His filmography is filled with Oscar-nominated titles, cult classics, and undisputed visual masterpieces. So, it's important to recognize what sets Roger Deakins apart from other cinematographers in the industry. Something that I admire about him is that his approach to cinematography is constantly evolving, even after all these years in the industry. I want you guys to think about what kind of things attract you to a film visually. The art of cinematography is constantly changing and progressing. The intended visual style for a film varies from one to another, and it's the job of a good cinematographer to recognize and adapt to what the project needs. Deakins often talks about how he enjoys the opportunity to work on a variety of different film styles and to help create different worlds. This attitude has led to his extremely diverse filmography. However, the American Motion Picture Institute points out that because so many of Deakins' films have been so different, it's hard to figure out what his visual style is. Where's my battery? What isn't hard to appreciate is the distinctive attention that he pays to detail in his films and the creativity that he brings to how the visual choices he makes helps set the tone for his features. Whatever film he's working on, from the neon science fiction action of Blade Runner 2049 to the gritty war pictures of 1917, Deakins is incredibly involved and deliberate about creating fully immersive films. For Blade Runner 2049, Deakins worked with RE Lights to develop custom LED light panels. These LED light panels helped create hyper-realistic lighting and shadows, which helped make the world feel both futuristic and grounded. Director Denis Villeneuve said that working with Deakins was like working with a painter who knew exactly what he wanted. Likewise, Deakins explains that during the prep for 1917, they visited real World War I trench lines to understand what the sets would look like for the film and made creative choices based on that. However, all the skill and creativity in the world doesn't matter without the right attitude. That's where Roger Deakins' professionality comes in. One thing that stands out about Roger Deakins is how grounded he is, despite being at the top of his field. He's known for being calm, collaborative, and completely dedicated to the craft of filmmaking. I'm constantly impressed by seeing this and how composed he is in behind-the-scenes footage on his films. So I want you to ask yourself, when you're involved in a group project, what kind of personalities do you want to work with? If there's one thing that's certain in film production, it's that problems will arise. Whether that's time limits, weather issues, or the destruction of multi-million-dollar cameras. As a cinematographer and as a human, Roger Deakins embodies the phrase, calm, cool, and collected. This quality that Roger possesses has been commended by many. Roger is unflappable, said Sam Mendes while working on 1917. He'll sit there quietly, solving the problem, and then boom, he's made magic happen. Directors like Mendes and Villeneuve have said that Roger Deakins is one of the most patient people that they've ever worked with. Even when things go wrong, he stays focused and he solves problems creatively. For 1917, the weather constantly delayed shootings, sometimes even for days at a time. Deakins waited for the perfect light and he got the shot every single time. Despite the praise and success that Deakins gets, he always ensures that his crew members are also credited. On his podcast, Team Deakins, he said that film production is first and foremost a team effort. It's this humility and respect for others that makes him such a strong role model for me. Valuing the crew behind every production, Deakins has continued to assemble a team of filmmakers that he constantly brings on new projects with him. Whether that be lighting specialists, experts in electricity, focus pullers, grips, and colors, he brings along the same crew to help execute his vision. This ability to collaborate and share his wisdom has led him to work on projects with Pixar and DreamWorks in creating animated features such as WALL-E, How to Train Your Dragon, and Rango. So what can we take away from Roger Deakins? Deakins' career shows us what's possible when you combine creativity, passion, motivation, and professionalism. From his start in documentaries to his groundbreaking work on films like Sicario, 1917, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and Skyfall, he's constantly setting new standards for the possibilities of cinematography. Deakins once said, "Every film is a new adventure." For me, that's what's at the heart of his legacy. This attitude inspired me to be an artist who never stops learning, experimenting, and motivating others to do the same. Thank you.